ladies and gentlemen, fellow delegates and guests and friends. Today, we're gathered here right outside of Washington, D.C. to launch the opening of the East Turkestan Political Action Conference. Today, we're launching this on an auspicious day, given that it is the 91st and 80th anniversary of the First and Second East Turkestan Republic. And we're also here to commemorate the 20th anniversary of the East Turkestan government in exile. Firstly, I want to take a moment to greet my fellow East Turkestanis, because today is our Independence Day, as I just mentioned. Şunun için, I'm going to speak in Uyghur. Barlık Şarkı Türkistanlı karandaşlar, bugün biz Amerika'nınki paytaxtı Washington'ın sırtıda Şarkı Türkistan siyasi hareket meclisine geçip oturağıdınız. Bugün ait ahmetli gün, çünkü bu birinci Şarkı Türkistan Cumhuriyeti'ninki 91. yıllığı ve ikinci Şarkı Türkistan Cumhuriyeti'ninki 80. yıllıkınınki yıl hatırısı. Şunun bilen müşahedeki barlık Şarkı Türkistanlı karandaşlarını ve dünyanın her kayıt joyları Şarkı Türkistanlı karandaşlarımızdaki milli müstakillik günümüz kutluk bolsun, devletimizdeki müstakillik günü kutluk bolsun. Şunun bilen, now I'm going to continue in English, so please bear with me. Firstly, we are going to start with the playing of the East Turkestan national anthem. So if I could ask everyone to stand up. Biz Şarkı Türkistan'daki milli marş bilen başlayınız. Thank you, everyone can sit down. Again, I welcome you on behalf of the East Turkestan government in exile and its parliament. First, we'd like to start our political action conference with a prayer from Mr. Jason Jones, as well as a prayer from our Prime Minister of the East Turkestan government in exile, Mr. Abdullah Hetnur. So both of you can come to the stage, please.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين. الصلاة والسلام على رسوله محمد وآله وأصحابه أجمعين. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. O Allah, the Almighty, the protector and the sustainer, we stand before you on this solemn day, commemorating the 91st anniversary of East Turkestan Republic and 80th anniversary of East Turkestan Republic. As we gather, we remember and honor our ancestors and martyrs who courageously gave their lives to re-establish freedom and independence in our homeland. Ya Allah, grant them the highest ranks in Jannah, and let their sacrifice continue to inspire our struggle. O Allah, we humbly call upon you for our beloved nation of East Turkestan, which is enduring unimaginable suffering under the oppression of occupation, colonization, and genocide. Our people are stripped of their dignity, their freedom, and their basic rights. Ya Allah, you are the most just. Bring justice to our oppressed people and grant them the strength to endure and bring them liberation swiftly. O Allah, grant us the strength, the wisdom, and the unity to restore the independence and dignity that was stolen from us. Guide us, unite us, and make us steadfast in our journey towards independence. Let this political conference be a powerful step forward in our pursuit of justice and the restoration of our freedom, our independence, and our dignity. O Allah, we ask you to open the hearts of America and the whole of the world. Give them the strength and courage and moral clarity to support this restoration of East Turkestan independence. Let them be a beacon of justice and freedom, standing firm against oppression and tyranny of China. Inspire their leaders to recognize our struggle as just and righteous and to stand with us in restoring what has been unjustly taken from us and supporting us with all available means. Ya Allah, grant us your mercy and protection. Shower us with your blessings and grant us the spiritual, moral, political, and economic support we need to succeed. Unite all those who stand for truth, justice, and freedom in our cause, and let the world witness the rebirth of free and independence East Turkestan. O Allah, you are Al-Fattah, the opener of the door. Open the door to our liberation and restoration of East Turkestan's independence. You are An-Nasir, the giver of victory. Grant us victory in our just struggle against the Chinese invasion. You are Al-Mu'izz, the bestower of honor. Restore the honor and dignity of our people and our nation. Ameen, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wa salamun ala al-mursalin. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
And now we will have Mr. Jason Jones also give a quick prayer.
It's a privilege to be here with you. Before I pray, I would like to say this. King Solomon, in Ecclesiastes 4:1, the Jewish scriptures, or as we as Christians call the Old Testament, King Solomon said, I looked all over the world, and all I see is oppression. And on the side of the oppressor is power. And on the side of the oppressed, there is no one. To think that the richest, most powerful man in the world, with God's grace, could see the world, and that's what he saw. But now, over, 2,800 years later, I can say, just from the stage, I look all over the world, and all I see is oppression. But in this room are representatives of the three great Abrahamic religions. And our faiths compel us to stand with the oppressed. And this is a grace from God. There are people from here all over the world standing with the oppressed. So I can see from this podium something that King Solomon couldn't see over the whole world. And this is a grace. Father God, we know you're here with us because you love the oppressed and you bless those who serve the oppressed. We thank you for the grace that you've given us to know you and love you. And we beg you for your grace and for your mercy, that you forgive our sins, that you heal every broken heart in this room that right now is addled with the thoughts of the suffering of their family. We pray that you comfort them. We pray that you comfort their loved ones that are imprisoned, that are brutalized, that are having their dignity and freedom robbed from them. Comfort them, Lord. Bless them. Lord, we pray that in our lifetime, we see a free and independent, a prosperous and peaceful East Turkestan. We know we can have this, Lord, through your grace. The CCP is not warring against the Uyghur people. They're warring against you, Lord. They're warring against your people because they love you. We pray for the freedom of East Turkestan, the freedom of Hong Kong. We pray for the freedom of everyone in the concentration camps and all of the political prisoners, Christians and Muslims. I pray this in the name of my King, Jesus Christ. Amen.
And now, for the opening speech, I'd like to call on the President of the East Turkestan Government in Exile, Dr. Mamtman Ella.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to welcome you to Washington, D.C. for the East Turkestan Political Action Conference. Today, we stand together to commemorate a series of significant anniversaries. The 91st anniversary of the establishment of the first East Turkestan Republic in 1933. The 80th anniversary of the Second East Turkestan Republic in 1944, and the 20th anniversary of the East Turkestan government in exile. These historic events are all linked by one significant day, November 12. November 12 is not just a date etched into our collective memory. It's a symbol of resistance and hope. On this very day, in 1864, Yakup Beg rode out to liberate Kashgar. Several months later, he re-established East Turkestan independence as the state of Yet Shahar, also known as Kashgaria. Inspired by this legacy, our leaders, Sabit Abdulbaki Damullah and Ilhan Ture, chose November 12, Notice Day, exactly the same day, to officially declare the independence of East Turkestan Republic. 91 years on November 12, and 1933, and once again 80 years ago on November 12, 1944. By doing so, they created a timeless legacy, cementing November 12 into not only East Turkestan Independence Day, but a symbol of our enduring will to be free and independent. Over the past 160 years, our predecessors have held onto one dream, maintained one hope, and believed in one goal, restoring our national independence. Achieving this goal and restoring the independence of our homeland 3 times, they have immortalized our will for liberty as the essence of our being, a transcendent will inherited from our ancestors. This is only possible again when we have
our independence country as a free nation. At that time, we will stand on our land once more, from which we came, into which we shall return, by the grace of God. However, our task today is not just to remember our past. It's to take decisive action in the present to secure our present, our future as well. As the president of the East Turkestan government in exile, I tell you that our duty is clear. We must continue our mission to regain our independence, reclaim our homeland, and restore the sovereignty that is rightfully ours. We are gathered here just outside the capital of the United States, a nation that has long been a beacon of hope for those fighting tyranny. In recent times, we have seen renewed optimism with the election or re-election of Donald Trump as the 47th President of the United States. The world also hopes the US will regain its leadership role in re-establishing a fair, safe, and prosperous future worldwide. Our world is far more dangerous and complex than it was 10 years ago. The rise of authoritarianism, infiltration of communism, and use of cutting-edge technologies such as AI and facial recognition systems have aided tyrants in threatening the freedom of people all around the world. The world is increasingly polarized, and the seeds of global conflicts are being sown. We risk being subject to a worldwide digital prison, as has been implemented in China, if democracy is not defended and authoritarianism is not defeated. This division is no longer simply between communism and capitalism, but between the people's freedom and encroachment of authoritarianism through anti-life, anti-freedom, and anti-humanity agendas. At no other time in history has this freedom been threatened as it's now. A clear example is China committing genocide in occupied East Turkestan, emboldened by the absence of moral condemnation from the free world, while moving forward to enslave humanity through strategies of unrestricted warfare. China's unrestricted warfare involves utilizing all available means, humane and inhumane, to defeat the US-led West and establish its hegemony in a world where the West is weak and lacks opposition to stop it. This warfare ultimately seeks to establish Chinese supremacy. Chinese supremacy is rooted in ambitions that date back to the era of Sun Yat-sen or Sun Zhongshan, the father of the Chinese nation. 100 years ago, he dreamed of the Chinese ruling the world as a master race, only to be challenged by the Anglo-Saxons. For over a century, Chinese leaders have weaponized the narrative of a century of humiliation to justify their expansionist ambitions. Global supremacy is China's goal, and it's becoming more brazen in demonstrating this to the whole world. China is a blood-seeking dragon, no longer a mystical totem animal, but a real one, right before our eyes. The West has tried to appease this bloodthirsty dragon with business opportunities, economic benefits, diplomatic charm, friendly communications, and political tolerance. However, all this have made the dragon more arrogant, reckless, dangerous, and powerful. Tolerating the intolerable has turned the table, making the tolerant risk being intolerably eliminated. To fight this dragon, we must be more powerful than it. There is no other way. It's as simple as a rule of war, ancient yet ever present, to defeat or to be defeated. You cannot change the nature of this dragon. You can only try to do so at your own risk or because of illusions. However, this dragon leaves no room for illusions because it's so real, threatening, empowered, and determined. The Trump administration will once again face this dragon, the great challenge. During his previous term, the Uyghur genocide came to the forefront of the international attention and has since worsened under the watch of President Biden. Now, China continues to genocide as we speak. If China is the greatest challenge, then the essence of the challenge is that it's the regime committing the gravest crimes against humanity, and yet no one speaks out for fear of retaliation. If the US and the rest of the international community remain silent in the face of China's campaign of colonization, genocide, and occupation in East Turkestan, it involves China to continue its campaign of aggression and repression, not only against us, but against other nations as well. Our fight for independence is not just about the future of East Turkestan. It's a fight for all who believe in the principles of sovereignty, justice, and human dignity. As we open this conference today, I urge all of you to stand with us. Let us unite in our commitment to the cause of restoring East Turkestan's independence. Let us work together to ensure that the sacrifice of our ancestors were not in vain. And let us pledge to continue this fight until East Turkestan is fully free and sovereign once more. I wish this great country, the United States of America, the prosperity and strength. And I pray and hope that our country, East Turkestan, will soon be re-established as a free, strong, and independent nation once more. May God guide us in our mission, and may the world hear our call for justice. Thank you.
Thank you, President Allah, for a wonderful opening speech. Now we will have a presentation titled East Turkestan's Fight for Survival, Independence, Justice, and Global Responsibility, a call to action to the international community. First, let's introduce East Turkestan. East Turkestan, meaning the eastern lands of the Turks or the lands of the Eastern Turks, is an occupied nation in Central Asia. It is the most strategic part of the world in the sense that it is referred by renowned strategist Olin Latmore as the pivot of Asia. Throughout centuries or millennia, East Turkestan has been the focus of great power competition between numerous empires throughout time. East Turkestan is 1,828,418 square kilometers, more than 2.5 times the the size of the U.S. state of Texas, and over 3 times the size of Ukraine. Furthermore, it's strategically important, not just because of its location, but also because the fact that it is rich in oil, natural gas, coal, uranium, and various minerals. East Turkestan is vital to China in the sense that under China's Belt and Road Initiative, it is the cornerstone of China's Belt and Road Initiative, in fact, and it is being heavily exploited by China, integrating it into its economic and energy, and even its political ambitions. Chinese occupation of East Turkestan has transformed it into a critical link connecting China to Central Asia, South Asia, and the Middle East, expanding China's both political, economic influence, but also their military reach. East Turkestan is probably one of the most heavily militarized zones in the world, where the Chinese government has roughly 3 million, that includes about 100,000 or more People's Liberation Army, 200,000 People's Armed Police, and 2.7 million Bing Tuan or paramilitary forces. East Turkestan's heritage, culturally, East Turkestan is Indo-European and Turkic. It has no, with the Uyghur, majority Uyghur population, as well as other Turkic peoples like Kazakhs, Kyrgyz, Uzbeks. Throughout its millennia, it has been a self-ruling independent nation with its unique political, economic, religious, ethnic, cultural, and national identities, none of which it shares with China or the so-called Chinese people or Chinese people. Today, as a result of decades of colonization, occupation, and genocide, this millennia-old heritage faces threat of extinction under Chinese occupation, underscoring the vital need for international action to safeguard East Turkestan's survival through its independence. As mentioned, East Turkestan has a long history of sovereignty, a long legacy of independence. Genetic, archaeological, and DNA research has shown that Indo-European and Turkic peoples have been calling East Turkestan their homeland for over 6,400 years, with the latest evidence showing that they've been there as an isolated people since the end of the Ice Age. These peoples are the ancestors of today's Uyghurs, Kazakhs, Kyrgyz, and other Turkic peoples, who have established a unique cultural and national identity deeply rooted in Central Asia and its surrounding regions. Over the past 2,000 years, the people of East Turkestan, as I mentioned, have established numerous independent states, reflecting a continuous tradition of self-governance and sovereignty. These states range from the early city-states and kingdoms of significant empires and khanates, including the Han Empire, or as the Xinnu, as the Chinese call it, the Kushan Empire, the Imperial Hephthalites, the Köktürk Khaganate, the Uyghur Khaganate, the Karkhanate state, the Iduk Uyghur state, the Chagatai Khanate, the Turpan Khanate, the Yarkand Khanate, the state of Yetshar between 1865 and 1877, and all of these entities over the past 2,000 years laid the foundation for the first and second East Turkestan Republic, which were established in 1933 and later reestablished in 1944, each a declaration of East Turkestan's independence and sovereignty. Today, we commemorate the 91st anniversary of the first East Turkestan Republic and the 80th anniversary of the second East Turkestan Republic, two historic declarations of East Turkestan's sovereignty and independence in the 20th century. These republics are a powerful affirmation of East Turkestan's rightful status as an independent nation and of its people's enduring resolve to defend their homeland. The first East Turkestan Republic was officially declared on November 12, 1933 in Kashgar, though it only lasted until April of 1934 as a result of Soviet and Chinese invasion. It marked a bold assertion of independence and demonstrated the East Turkestani people's determination to exist as a free and independent nation. The first East Turkestan Republic remains a defining moment in our history, reinforcing East Turkestan's identity and unity. The second East Turkestan Republic, which existed from 1944 to 1949, was established on November 12, 1944. It had a far more robust government and a national army of over 40,000 troops to defend the nation's sovereignty. However, the Soviet Union assisted the People's Republic of China to invade East Turkestan on October 12, 1949, beginning a brutal campaign of occupation that continues to this day. On December 22, 1949, Chinese Communist forces overthrew the Second East Turkestan Republic, initiating essentially the 75 years of occupation that we see. However, despite this, the people of East Turkestan continue to resist Chinese occupation, preserving their commitment to safeguard their independence. And so today I want to take a moment to honor the legacy of these republics and our brave East Turkestani men and women, our ancestors, our predecessors, who gave their lives defending our sovereignty. Their sacrifices inspire East Turkestani people around the world as we commemorate these anniversaries, remembering the republics as enduring symbols of resilience, resistance, and sovereignty. This courage fuels East Turkestan's ongoing campaign for justice, survival, and the restoration of its sovereignty. As mentioned earlier, the East Turkestani people, since the Chinese invaded East Turkestan, we have never given up on our struggle to reestablish our independence. In fact, from the onset of the PRC's invasion of East Turkestan, the people of East Turkestan resisted. In fact, within the first 4 years, the Chinese occupation forces killed over 150,000 East Turkestanis who resisted. More than 30 armed uprisings have occurred since then. The most recent being in April 5th of 1990 in response to China's genocidal forced abortions policies. And these acts of resistance stand as a proof of our people's unwavering commitment to restore their freedom and independence. And this was further reaffirmed following the collapse of the Soviet Union and the subsequent independence of the Central Asian states. East Turkestanis in exile recognized the critical need to form a unified formal entity to represent our nation's interests on the global stage and established the East Turkestan National Congress. However, because of Chinese intelligence operations, the East Turkestan National Congress dissolved in 2004, or split in 2004, resulting in our leaders at the time creating a new entity, which became the East Turkestan Government in Exile on September 14, 2004, based here in Washington, D.C. The EastGG, or the East Turkestan Government in Exile, was founded as the lawful successor of the East Turkestan Republic and as the legitimate representative of the East Turkestani people. The government in exile continues to assert East Turkestan's status as an occupied country and works tirelessly to restore our rightful independence and sovereignty. Over its past 20 years, the East Turkestan government in exile has been the voice of East Turkestan, actively engaging to the best of its capabilities with international bodies, organizations, and government to hold the Chinese occupiers accountable. And our mandate is to advocate for East Turkestan's complete restoration of independence, to defend the rights of our people, and to restore our sovereign status. As East Turkestan's legitimate government, the East Turkestan government in exile is committed to continuing the struggle until our nation is once again recognized as a free, independent, sovereign country. The greatest tragedy our nation has faced, we have been living for the past 10 years. Since May 2014, China has been conducting a systematic campaign of genocide against Uyghurs, Kazakhs, Kyrgyz, and other Turkic peoples in East Turkestan. This campaign includes a variety of atrocities aimed at completely eradicating the native population of East Turkestan. The Chinese government has collected the DNA, the voice prints, and retina scans of 36 million people between the ages of 12 and 65 in East Turkestan, many of whom are being killed for their organs. In fact, reports indicate that there are over 121 crematoriums located near these concentration camps and prisons in East Turkestan, in a Muslim majority region where cremation is against, mind I let you know, is against our religion. So this in itself should be alarming. Uyghurs and other Turkic peoples, as you will hear from other experts, like our friend Mr. Ethan Gutman, are being systematically killed for their organs, with an estimate of 25,000 to 50,000 or more Uyghurs being killed solely for their organs annually. Over 7.8 million Uyghurs and other Turkic peoples have been subjected to so-called vocational training and re-education. These are the euphemisms that the Chinese government uses to describe its concentration camp, to describe its forced indoctrination, its forced labor, and genocidal policies. This is according to their own September 2020 white paper, in which they claim that they provided vocational training to roughly 7.8 million people between 2014 and 2019. China's own judicial data shows that as of 2022, some 578,500 Uyghurs and other Turkic peoples are serving lengthy prisons, anywhere from 5 years in prison to life in East Turkestan, making the East Turkestan and the Uyghur and other Turkic population the most heavily targeted imprisoned population in the world. This accounts for roughly over a third of the total official prison population of the People's Republic of China empire, despite East Turkestan officially not even having 2% of the total population of that empire. So this in itself should show you that this is a deliberate campaign by the Chinese government to eradicate our population. Around 2014, the Chinese government also initiated the forced sterilization of Uyghur and other Turkic women. According to official data, some 300,000 Uyghur and other Turkic women have been subjected to forced sterilization as a deliberate attempt to suppress the population growth of Uyghurs and other Turkic peoples. Furthermore, according to the Chinese government's own data, we estimate that roughly 4 million or more Uyghur and other Turkic babies have been forcibly aborted since 1989. And in that, we plead to the international community to recognize the fact that there is only one solution to this problem. There's only one solution to ending this genocide, to ending this colonization, to ending these crimes against humanity. Only one solution to ensuring the very survival and existence of our people, and that is by restoring East Turkestan's independence. Restoring East Turkestan's independence is not a request, it is a rightful necessity for the very survival of our people. Decades of occupation has brought us to the brink where the very existence of our people are under threat. Therefore, the restoration of our independence is the only solution that can guarantee our safety, dignity, and ability to thrive. This is not just about securing our future, but the whole future of the international community. Because East Turkestan is just an example of what China will do to other nations. It's an example of China's ambitions if it continues to proceed with those ambitions that are unchecked. And more importantly, for us, as I mentioned, this is about ensuring our very survival. We have no other option. We've been given fake autonomy. We've been, given a pacifier, saying that, we'll give you this human rights, we'll give you cultural rights. All of them are fake. The international community, which under international law supports human rights, supports the right to self-determination, has failed to act meaningfully. And as such, China has been emboldened because of the international community's lack of action to wage this genocide, to wage it in a way that the international community, unfortunately, despite knowing everything, all of these data, everything that I mentioned is publicly available. You can visibly see the concentration camps from satellite imagery. You can see videos of Uyghurs being shaved and blindfolded and put onto cattle, trains, just like the way the Nazis hoarded Jews and other persecuted groups during the Holocaust. Only independence, full independence of East Turkestan can end these genocidal policies that threaten our culture, our faith, and our very lives. Independence is our only means to reclaim control of our future and ensure the protection of our homeland, to ensure that our heritage continues, to ensure that our children will live free. Therefore, we call upon the international community, including the United States, to support East Turkestan's right to sovereignty. This is an urgent call to action to all nations that are committed to justice, to human rights and peace. We ask you to implement. Every year we have governments, politicians, organizations, celebrities vowing the same thing, never again. Every year they vow the same thing, but never again has been occurring in East Turkestan for at least the past 10 decades, if not for the past 75 years. And there's only one choice, really, and the choice is clear. It's either to stand with East Turkestan and its rightful claim to independence, or risk standing on the wrong side of history as genocide continues unchecked, and to be complicit in the genocide. It's time for the world to recognize our sovereignty, and we ask all countries and all leaders who value freedom to declare their support for East Turkestan and the restoration of independence. Again, this is not just about East Turkestan. This is about the survival of the international community, the survival of democracy, the survival of freedom. Because if we continue turning a blind eye to what's happening in East Turkestan, if we continue ignoring the genocide, continue ignoring the colonization, continue ignoring the occupation, China will do the same thing. And already it's engaging in neo-colonialism in far off places like Africa, in the Middle East, in Central Asia. It wants to invade Taiwan. In fact, Chinese diplomats have openly stated that once they occupy Taiwan, the first thing that they're going to do is re-educate those people there. And we've seen what re-education means. It means concentration camps. It means death to anyone who resists, anyone who dares not bow down to the emperor in Beijing. The global community has a responsibility to end genocide. And this responsibility also includes to support East Turkestan's independence, but because that's the only way to end this genocide. The international community has a legal and moral duty to prevent and punish the crime of genocide, as enshrined in the UN Genocide Convention, as enshrined and under the responsibility of protect doctrine. The world must intervene when a population is at risk of atrocities. We are not just at risk, we are facing these atrocities every single day. Every single day, at the very minimum, thousands of our people are being killed in those concentration camps. Even if one person dies in a concentration camp, whether it's through the torture, whether it's through the tuberculosis that the Chinese government is forced deliberately spreading among our population, whether it's through organ harvesting, let's say at the very lowest, one person is dying in each of those concentration camps. That's 1,400 people dying a day. 1,400 people dying a day. And these aren't just statistics, ladies and gentlemen. These are our reality. Those are our brothers and sisters. Many of us here, in fact, I would say most of us here have not been able to even hear the voices. We don't even know if our relatives in East Turkestan are alive or dead. We don't know their fate. Over 1 million of our children have been forcibly separated by the Chinese state, indoctrinated to become Chinese. At the same time that the Chinese are killing our people in the prisons and taking away our children, they're creating a new so-called Uyghurs. And these new Uyghurs are not Uyghurs at all. They are ethnically Chinese people who are being taught to speak Uyghur, who are being taught to dance like Uyghurs, who are being taught to sing like Uyghurs, and being projected to the international community as Chinese Muslims or as so-called Chinese Uyghurs to manipulate the world. Because unfortunately, the international community still has no idea on how to distinguish an Uyghur between a Chinese because of the misconceptions that is being purposely spread through the international media outlets, falsely referring to us as so-called Chinese Muslims. We are not Chinese Muslims. We are ethnically Turkic people. We are Turkic Muslims, and we'd like to clarify that. So we again call upon all nations, all leaders, all human rights defenders to demonstrate that their promises of never again are real and that they're not just empty words. We ask them to recognize the fact that the root of this genocide, the root of all of our people suffering lies in Chinese occupation and colonization of East Turkestan. And until that issue is addressed, there is no way to meaningfully address the ongoing genocide. So we urge the international community to take tangible steps. One, to recognize and condemn the genocide. Two, to recognize and condemn the root cause of the genocide, Chinese occupation and colonization. And to reaffirm international support under the principles of self-determination, under the principles of the UN Genocide Convention and others, that the East Turkestani people have a right to exist as a free and sovereign nation, and that restoring their independence is the only way. The world's history of inaction in the face of genocide must not be repeated. We cannot continue to wait to respond. Throughout history, this happened many times. The international community failed to respond because of weak leaders, because of the lack of political will, resulting in the deaths of millions of innocent people. The international community, especially the incoming Trump administration, has a very strategic opportunity in front of them. One, a moral opportunity to show to the international community that they are morally committed to their promises of never again, to their promises of human rights, to their promises of self-determination. Two, a strategic imperative to challenge the greatest empire of the world, the greatest evil empire that is challenging the whole of humanity, that seeks to replace the United States and to dominate the world. And they can do that by the US can challenge China by supporting East Turkestan and its right to restore its independence. So what we seek from international leaders is we call on, as I said, we call on the international community to recognize, condemn, and punish the genocide that is undertaken in East Turkestan, to recognize East Turkestan as an occupied country, to support East Turkestan's right to external self-determination and the restoration of its independence. We call on all governments around the world, especially the United States government, to empower the people of East Turkestan and the East Turkestan government in exile, to support us through diplomatic recognition, economic and other institutional support, to preparing our people and our country to be able to, for a self-governing future. And we urge them to take the necessary steps to prepare for the restoration of East Turkestan's independence. And this begins by establishing diplomatic and strategic frameworks to recognize and support an independent East Turkestan. This preparation is vital to ensure that East Turkestan can reclaim its place among free nations as a peaceful, contributing state within Central Asia. And again, I urge everyone here and everyone listening to stand with East Turkestan. The people of East Turkestan are fighting for their survival. They're fighting for their right to exist as a free and independent nation. More importantly, they're fighting for their right to exist, period, because that's the only way we can guarantee our existence. After decades of occupation, colonization, and a relentless campaign of genocide that continues at this very moment, the world's response cannot be one of silence or hesitation. East Turkestan needs immediate global support to end this genocide, to restore its sovereignty, and to secure justice for its people. World leaders, advocates, and every individual committed to justice, we call on you to stand with East Turkestan, to recognize East Turkestan's right to independence, to condemn and punish the crime of genocide, and support our struggle to secure our freedom. Every day of inaction is another day that the people of East Turkestan face erasure. And again, ladies and gentlemen, history will judge us all by the choices that we make now. We are standing at a very pivotal moment, a defining moment in human history. And if we take the right decisions, if we take the right courses of action, we can not only end this genocide, but we can bring a better world that is far more stable, far more prosperous, far more peaceful, a world that is beneficial for the whole of humanity. So we ask you to stand with East Turkestan and help us secure a nation, help us secure a future where our nation can once again stand free, to where it's respected among other world's nations. And we call again upon the international community to stand with us to restore East Turkestan's independence, to uphold justice, and to protect the fundamental rights of our people. Let us make never again a promise that is kept and not something that we just simply utter to make ourselves feel good or to, provide lip service. Thank you. Now we have we'd like to call Dr. Saygul Sawatbay, who is the Vice President of the East Turkestan government in exile and a key witness to China's concentration camps, to give a speech. She will be giving a speech in Uyghur, but the translation should be on the screen. English translation. Small. Wait a minute here.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Hürmetli hanımlar, efendiler. Bugün biz bu yerge yığılıp bir mühim tarihi ahamiyetke ega birinchi Sharqiy Turkiston Cumhuriyetining qurilganligining 91 yilligini, ikkinchi Sharqiy Turkiston Cumhuriyetining qurilganligining 80 yilligini ve Sharqiy Turkiston sürgünde hükümetinin qurilganligining 20 yilligini tebriklash fursatiga erishganligimdan faxrlanaman ve Sharqiy Turkiston davlatining mustaqillik kuni bilan hammalarni tabriklayman. Bir niyat, bir maqsadda jafoli xizmat qilib kelayotgan barliq rahbarlarga, safdoshlarimga ve bizni qo'llab kelayotgan barliq Sharqiy Turkiston xalqiga, Amerika ve boshqa davlatlarga chuqur minnatdorligimni bildiraman. Mushu fursatdan foydalanib Sharqiy Turkiston sürgünde hükümetiga vakolatan Donald Trump efendimning Amerikaning prezidenti bo'lib qaytadan saylanishini chin qalbimdan tabriklayman. Biz Amerika hukumatini Xitoyning Sharqiy Turkistonda elib berayotgan mustamlikachilikka, irqiy qirg'inchilik va ishg'oliyat harakatini oxirlashtirish uchun keskin va konkret harakat qo'llashga chaqiraman. Biz Amerika hukumati bilan erkinlik, adolat va egilik huquqini ilgari surish uchun ankarishga tayyormiz. Sharqiy Turkiston sürgünde hükümetining barliq a'zolari birdek ittifoqlashib, bir nishon Sharqiy Turkiston mustaqilligi, bir dushman Xitoy tajovuzchilariga prinsipda chin turib, Sharqiy Turkistonning mustaqilligi uchun izchil harakat qilib keldi. Men Sharqiy Turkiston sürgünde hükümetining muavin raisi, Xitoyning irqiy qirg'inchiligining qurboni ve cazalarining şahidi bo'lish bilan bu fursatdan foydalanib tuvandagi muhim nuqtalarni bayon qilmoqchi. Birinchi, oldi bilan Amerika boshchiligidagi demokrat davlatlarning Xitoyning Sharqiy Turkistonda Uyg'ur, Qozoq, Qirg'iz ve boshqa Türkiye xalqlariga qarshi sodir qilayotgan jinoyatni irqiy qirg'inchilik deb e'tirof qilganligi uchun cheksiz minnatdorligimni bildiraman. İkinci, Sharqiy Turkiston xalqini butunlay yo'qotishda rezil nishonga yetish uchun Xitoy barliq amallarni ishlatib, bir qism kishilarni jazolarga solash bilan birga, yana bir qism odamlarni qonunsiz holda uzun muddatli qamoq jazolariga hukm qilib, turmalarga soldi. Hamda bir qism odamlarni Sharqiy Turkistondan majburiy ayirib, Xitoyning ichki o'lkalarga yo'tkab, hamda bir qismini majburiy emgakka chilish orqali maqsadiga yetib, Sharqiy Turkistondagi insoniyatga qarshi jinoyatni o'ngishli ijro qilib keldi. 3. Majburiy bola tushirish, majburiy tug'maslik operatsiyasini qilish, Xitoylar bilan tuqqanlarchilik qilishga majburlash qatorliq turli razil vositalardan foydalanib, ayollarni tafsirda qildi. Uningdan sirt ayollarimizni Xitoylar bilan to'y qilishga majburlash keng ko'lamda avish olmoqda. Bu zulmat bo'lsa Xitoyning Sharqiy Turkiston xalqini millat sifatida yo'qotish, qirg'inchiligi jarayonidagi roli nihoyat kuchli bo'lib keldi. Xitoyning bu jinoyati amaliyotda irqiy qirg'inchilikning vahshiy usulining birisi bo'lib, buni davlat darajalik bosqinchilik deb jinoyati deb qarashga bo'ladi. Chunki ayollarning hatto o'zining badani o'ziga mansub emas. Bu jazo lageri sirtidagi vahshiy zulm bo'lsa, ular jazo lagerlari ichidami bosqinchilikqa uchrashi doim bo'lib turadigan ishga aylanib ketgan. Ve yana navbatlashib bosqinchilik qilish voqeasi jazo lagerining ichida mening ko'z oldimda yuz bergan. 4. Bundan başka ular balalarni ota-onasidan majburiy ayirib, ularni balalar yig'ilish lagerlariga yig'ilib, Xitoycha tarbiyalash orqali ularning kimligini yo'qotib, Sharqiy Turkiston xalqining qaytadan o'rnidan dast turolmasligi uchun avlodlarimizni yo'q qilmoqchi bo'lyotdi. Hozirgacha 1 milliondan ortiq balalar lageriga elib ketilgan. 5. Xitoy barliq razil vositalarni ishga solib, o'zining yolg'on tashviqini kuchaytirib, Sharqiy Turkistondagi irqiy qirg'inchilik jinoyatini yo'shirishga bor kuch bilan tirishyapti. Buni butun dunyo ko'rib turibmiz. Masalan, ba'zi davlatlar bilan vizasiz siyosatni yo'lga qo'yish, sayat o'maklarni tashkillab, Sharqiy Turkistonga avatish, hamkorlik yig'inlarini ko'plab ichish ve bir kısım o'ziga yaqin munosabatdagi davlat rahbarlarini foydalanib, ularga qo'ldan yasab chiqilgan yolg'on sahnani ko'rsatib, ularning og'zi bilan o'zining insoniyatga qarshi jinoyatini rad qildirib, xalqarani aldashga bor razillik planini ijro qilib, yolg'on tashviqotni bargan sari kuchaytmoqda. Biz shu vaqtda nihoyatda saygak bo'lib, Xitoyning bu yolg'on tashviqotlarga vaqtida rad berishimiz kerak. 6. Sharqiy Turkistondagi irqiy qirg'inchilik jinoyati hozirgi qator texnicha to'xtag'ini yo'q. Hozirmi hali ham davom qilmoqda. Chunki bu Xitoyning qoldirib planlagan uzun muddatli plani. Bu plan Xitoyning butun dunyoga g'o'ji bo'lishdek razil planining boshlanishi va asosi. Men barliq Sharqiy Turkiston xalqini ittifoqlashib, Xitoyga birlikda qarshi kurash qilishini umid qilaman va Xitoyning o'zining insonga qarshi jinoyatlarni aqlash, yolg'on tashviqotlariga birlikda qarshi turishga chaqiraman. Agar ittifoqlashib kurash qilsak, biz aman bir kuni g'alaba qila olamiz. Biz har qachon umidvor bo'lib, barliq vositalarni ishlatib, dunyoning Xitoyning razil maqsadini tushunib yetishiga o'z asosimizni qo'shishimiz kerak. Xitoyning irqiy qirg'inchiligi dunyoning tinchligi bilan zich munosabatlik va har bir davlatning bexatarligi va demokratiyasi bilan zich munosabatlik. Chunki Xitoyning oxirgi nishoni bo'lsa, dunyoning xo'jayiniga aylanish. Biz Sharqiy Turkiston fojiasining boshqa davlatlarda takrorlanishini xohlamaymiz. Biz 75 necha yil ilgari bu xil fojianing qayta yuz bermasligiga va'da qilgan edik. Afsuski, o'xshash tragediya 21-asrda Xitoyning qo'li bilan tarixning sahnasida qaytadan takrorlanyapti. Shunlashqa biz birlikda tirishib, Xitoyning haqiqiy yuzini oshkorlab va texnik ko'p kishilarga uning dunyoga Fakat afet ilip keldiğanlığını bildirişimiz gerek. Xitayning atalmış bir yol, bir belbaq planının əməliyyatda bolsa, onun dünyanın qojisiga aylanışdek rezil nishoniga yetishga yordam beradigan ko'rik ekanligini texmo jiqtulutaga bildirishimiz lozim va chuqur tushuntirishimiz lozim. Biz xalqaro jamiyatning texmo kuchli tadbirlarini qo'llanishini umid qilamiz. Men bu fursatdan foydalanib, xalqaro jamiyatni barliq tadbirlarni qo'llanib, Xitoyning irqiy qirg'inchiligini to'xtatishga va Xitoyning dunyoning g'o'jisi bo'lishidek rezil planni ishga oshirishga yo'l bermaslikka chaqiriq qilaman. Dunyoning tinchligi Sharqiy Turkistondagi irqiy qirg'inchilikni to'xtatishdan boshlanadi. Sharqiy Turkistondagi irqiy qirg'inchilik to'xtatishning birdan-bir yo'li bo'lsa, Sharqiy Turkistonning mustaqilligini asliga keltirishdir. Sharqiy Turkiston sürgündü hükümeti Uyg'ur, Qozoq, Qirg'iz va boshqa Sharqiy Turkiston xalqining erkinligini, siyosiy va kishilik huquqini va mavjudligini kafolat qilish uchun aktiv holda Sharqiy Turkistonning to'liq mustaqilligi va egilik huquqini asliga keltirish uchun kurash qiladi. Hammanglarga rahmat.
Apologies, we're slightly over schedule. So our next speaker, if we have room, we're gonna shift it a little bit. We're going to call Mr. Joseph Bosco, former China director at the Pentagon, to give a speech.
Thank you, President Allah and other officials of the East Turkestan government. It's an honor to be with you today. I hope that in my lifetime, I will see the government no longer in exile, but back where it belongs, ruling a democratic and free East Turkestan. As of now, as of today, the Uyghur people in China have 3 strikes against them. First, they are a Turkic ethnic group, like Kazakhs, Kyrgyz, and others, which makes them different by language, appearance, and culture from the majority Han Chinese. Second, as Muslims, they believe in God, which means they believe in a higher authority than the Chinese Communist Party. And they believe in teachings about humanity and truth and justice and decency, rather than Marxism, Leninism, dialectical materialism, and propaganda and lies that they are receiving every day. Third, they're located in the northwest territory of Xinjiang, an area that used to be an independent republic called East Turkestan. For all those reasons, the communist regime that invaded and occupied that country in 1949 seeks to suppress their population and eradicate their cultural, ethnic, and religious identity. They found the pretext for their suppression campaign conveniently provided by the September 11th attack on the United States by Islamic terrorists. Beijing took advantage of America's global war on terror and falsely declared that it was merely joining the existential struggle between civilization and radical Islamic extremism. Thus began a program of first cultural genocide, an effort to destroy the religious, literary, and cultural elements of the Uyghur tradition. Then actual physical genocide against the Uyghur people, the men, women, and children, who they believe must be eliminated to purify the Chinese nation and must be trained and indoctrinated to submit to communist oppression. One particularly perverse and horrifying practice the Chinese oppressors carried out was to remove all Uyghur men from the homes, send them to re-education work camps for extended periods, and replace them in the home with Chinese soldiers who were instructed to integrate themselves into the household, including having intimate relations with the wives, mothers, sisters, and daughters of the absent men.
The diabolical intent was not only to destroy the family units and destroy the Muslim values, but also to impregnate as many of the childbearing women as possible so they would give birth to children of Chinese fathers and dilute the Uyghur population. In May 2014, as mentioned earlier, the Chinese government launched the, quote, "Strike Hard campaign against violent terrorism," unquote, in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region against Uyghurs and other Turkic Muslims. In August 2017, a Chinese religious affairs official captured the evil purpose of the campaign when he stated in a Xinhua Weibo page, quote, "Break their lineage, break their roots, break their connections, and break their origins. Completely shovel up the roots of two-faced people, dig them out, and vow to fight these two-faced people until the end," unquote. That's the spirit of the Chinese campaign against the Uyghurs. In January 2021, at the end of the first Trump administration, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo issued a formal declaration for the United States government under the Geneva Convention that the Chinese government is indeed guilty of committing genocide against the Uyghur people. Pompeo stated as follows, quote, "I have determined that the People's Republic of China is committing genocide and crimes against humanity in Xinjiang, China, targeting Uyghur Muslims and members of other ethnic and religious minority groups. I believe this genocide is ongoing and that we are witnessing the systematic attempt to destroy Uyghurs by the Chinese Party state. Genocide, whether committed in time of peace or in time of war, is a crime under international law," unquote. The subsequent Biden administration agreed with the Trump team's position. Secretary of State Blinken issued his own report documenting ongoing grave human rights abuses in the People's Republic of China. It said, quote, "In Xinjiang, the PRC continues to carry out genocide, crimes against humanity, forced labor, and other human rights violations against predominantly Muslim Uyghurs and members of other ethnic and religious minority groups, with more than 1 million people in re-education camps and prisons. As a result of these findings of widespread violations of the Uyghurs' human rights, the United States has imposed scores of sanctions on Chinese entities and individuals. The Trump and Biden administration's findings of Chinese genocide were not the first condemnations by China, by the international community. The parliaments in the United Kingdom, Canada, the Netherlands, and Lithuania had earlier issued their own such findings. In 2023, 51 members of the United Nations issued a joint declaration condemning China's crimes against humanity. The Nazi experience in the 1930s and 1940s should have taught the world that when powerful nations commit such crimes and atrocities against their own populations, they will show no mercy or respect to people in other countries, especially their neighbors. Russia also showed that after its brutal attacks against the Muslim population in the tiny Russian Republic of Chechnya. Now it is Ukraine's tragic fate to suffer under Russia's criminal aggression. Similarly, China, having occupied East Turkistan and Tibet, is now showing its aggressive intention against Taiwan, the Philippines, and others in the South China Sea. For too long, Western countries have followed policies of economic and political engagement with China and either looked the other way at its massive human rights abuses and violations of international law, or paid only lip service to them. For our own security, as well as that of the long-suffering Uyghur people, those policies must be re-examined and made more clear-eyed and realistic. Let's hope the new Trump administration will pick up where it left off with China. Peace through strength must also does not mean only military strength, but also the moral strength to stand up for the values enshrined in the United Nations Charter, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and the International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights, all of which also happen to be and reflect fundamental American values. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. And now we have Mr. Jason Jones, who is the founder and president of the Vulnerable Peoples Project and has been a longtime friend and supporter of East Turkestan. We could have you up here for the speech.
It's a privilege to be here with you, our Minister President, and Salih Hidayah, who's a great friend. I want to begin with some hopeful news. When I first met Salih Hidayah, we went to Congress sharing information on the genocide. We were both shocked at how many members of Congress were not only unaware of the Uyghur genocide, were unaware of the Uyghur people, correct? And there was one member of Congress who not only was she well aware of what was happening to the Uyghurs, she was passionate about it. And at the time, it was Democrat Congresswoman from Hawaii, Tulsi Gabbard. And to know that this woman now is a Republican, not to be partisan, but I'm a Republican. I've been friends with her since she's 12. I'm glad that she's back on our side of the aisle. That she is co-chairing Trump's transition team is great news. And I'm praying that she lands somewhere in the administration where she has influence on the issues that we care most about. There are rumors on Twitter, and I hope those rumors are true. But when Salih and I first began going around Congress, members of Congress were unaware of the issue. And when Afghanistan was collapsing, my organization was, and still is, involved in the evacuation and resettlement of our former Afghan allies. We still evacuate former allies every week. And I print up big poster boards of our allies with their names, their families' names, their birthdays, everything about them, and I put them up in my office so my staff knows who we're serving. And so I was at the local print shop, and I was printing out these large posters with the names of our Afghan allies and their families to put on our walls in our office. And the young man, maybe 20 years old, said to me, "It's great what you're doing for the Afghan people, our former Afghan allies, and I commend you for this. But if you want to really do something with your voice, you should lend your voice to the Uyghur people." And then he sat with me for 10 minutes, sharing with me everything that we already know about what is happening to your people. I said, well, I listened like I didn't know. And I said, well, I want you to tell this with my friend. And I called former Prime Minister Salih Hidayah, yes. And this young man was so excited to talk to Salih. But a few years ago, members of Congress were unaware of the issue. Now in the hill country of Texas, a young man in community college was intimately aware of the details of the genocide that is happening in Chinese-occupied East Turkestan. And that's because of your hard work, and I commend you for that. Now, I just want to share 3 practical things. I know we're over time, and I want to be brief. As Mr. Hidayah said, East Turkestan is the pivot of Asia. So I want to speak very practically. That means every power in the world is interested in East Turkestan. They're not interested in the people of East Turkestan, but they have interests or perceived interests in East Turkestan. This offers both an opportunity, but it also offers dangers. As you already know and you're aware, I just want to reiterate that as sailors, it doesn't matter where the wind is blowing, it's how you set the sail. You have to be prudent and thoughtful when working with powerful actors, especially state actors, in advancing their interests. I'm a human rights activist. I don't represent the interests of a nation state. My interest is in the people of Chinese-occupied East Turkestan, and that's your interest as well. And so we have to ally ourselves with state actors and powerful interests. to free the people of East Turkestan. But we need to be mindful that when they deviate from the interests of the people of East Turkestan to serve their interests is when our relationship with them breaks. 2, unity and diversity. For 30 years now, the Vulnerable People Project serves communities facing ethnic cleansing and genocide. In Iraq, in Afghanistan, now we're in the Nuba Mountains of Sudan, and other conflict zones around the world. We're even working in the occupied oblast of Ukraine to serve the vulnerable there. Communities facing genocide and oppression, where everyone's families are suffering, unity is challenging, but unity is essential. But the key to unity is diversity. I hope that, I know this is an international delegation, but I hope in the Uyghur community in the United States, although I'm a Republican, I hope there are committed Democrats, where we can disagree on everything and anything, but our commitment to free the persecuted people of Chinese-occupied East Turkestan. Now, we may even disagree on strategy and tactics, and those disagreements might be passionate. We might think the people we're advocating with are foolish, but if we know they're sincere, we have to love them, partner with them, and work with them. There have been many times where I've been working on projects where I thought the perfect person I was working with or our coalition partners were foolish, only to find out at the end that I was foolish, that I was mistaken, that my strategies and tactics were flawed. And so I think that unity and diversity is key. Diversity is key. Allowing diversity to flourish is key in your community, especially as you come from around the world. Uyghur from around the world are going to have different interests, different opinions on all sorts of issues. But when it comes to freeing the people of Chinese-occupied East Turkestan, that's where we're together. And finally, I just want to say this. There's an incredible opportunity before you in President-elect Donald Trump. Because of his administration, on the very last day of his administration, we got the genocide designation. And if you know one thing about, I think we all know one thing about President-elect Trump, he is an interesting character. He's like a joy to watch move across the planet. One thing we know about him is he hates war, and he loves people, and he's a businessman. And he has interests with China, and he's surrounded with people that are well aware of the threat that the CC poses to the United States. But he's also a man committed to justice. And so now we have the opportunity to have the Trump administration live out its commitment to the people of East Turkestan that on the very last day of their last administration, they designated as a genocide. So I hope you all look to this with hope. And I want to say this, and I know this, I believe this, but I know this. In our lifetimes, we will see a free and independent East Turkestan. I know this. And as somebody who's worked in and around war and genocide for 2 decades, I often feel like I'm walking through the dark, not knowing where I'm going. All of us in this room have broken hearts, yes? All of us, our minds are fatigued. Our spirits is fatigued. We walk through the dark. Sometimes we feel hopeless, but we still have hope. My feelings don't impact what I know. And what I know is it's because of your commitment and all of your commitment, your discipline, your dedication, your fortitude, and your charity for each other, that in our lifetime we will see a free and independent East Turkestan. And I want to say for me, it's just an honor to be here with you and witness the great work that you're doing. God bless you.
Thank you. And now we'd like to call our friend Mr. Sehun Kim, who's a journalist who's covered our issue as a journalist, both as a journalist and previously in other works that through other organizations.
Good morning. Well, firstly, I'd like to thank Sally, my friend Sally, and to all of you for welcoming and my colleagues to this extremely important a never before event here, right by our great capital, where we'll be welcoming a new president who, as our great friend Jason Jones has said, declared the Uyghur genocide a day before he left in 2021, sorry. I'd like to just begin by talking about what the impact of the word East Turkestan has had to outsiders like myself. So as you can imagine, as you can see, I'm a Korean American. And unfortunately, we do not see a lot of Koreans or Korean Americans getting involved in this issue. But I can assure you, with the geopolitical realities of our time, a lot more Koreans and those in Japan are becoming a lot more aware of the Uyghur issue. Matter of fact, when you ask an average netizen from South Korea what they think about the Uyghur genocide, 99.9% of the times, almost 100% of the times, they'll say, it doesn't surprise us. They should regain their freedom. It's horrible what's happening, but what can we do? And I'm afraid that's probably the better answer that I've been seeing all throughout the years, at least in the last 4 years, compared to the other nations that really should be caring about Uyghurs, namely countries like Pakistan or any other Arab countries, countries that really vow to protect Muslims. But we do not see protections or even any ounce of care from those nations. And it's bad. But it was also not enough that countries that are not Muslim majority per se didn't do as much. I'm very proud, although speaking to you as an American, I was also very proud to see our friends in the Republic of Korea and Japan joining to recognize, at least in one sense, to recognize what was going on in East Turkestan in the UN a few years ago. As you can see, you can see the Republic of Korea and Japan voting together to at least look into the human rights violations that are going on there. Why am I mentioning this? I'm mentioning this because although we don't see a lot of actions being taken by the international community, there's still a fire of hope, a still kindle of hope, of actual action among these nations. And it applies to us greatly here, especially in the United States, because of a couple of reasons. If I can give maybe one observation that folks may take as a bit of a criticism, is that I think as a community, we have made the mistake of looking at the whole East Turkestan issue into just a Uyghur issue and a human rights issue. You see, one of the biggest tragedies that I personally have seen throughout my observation on this cause is that we have parties and individuals who will be very, very passionate about talking about the human rights violations that are happening against Uyghurs. Very true, all very valid, but it just ends there. Let me tell you what happens if that portion were to continue. As I've told you before, I'm from South Korea. And to give you a bit of history of how Korea came into being, it really wasn't because of a great freedom fight that happened in some distant land that the nation became an independent nation. No, it didn't. And I say this to you because Korea really didn't get its independence solely through its own freedom fighters. It became a result of what we know as World War II. Japan surrendered, we were under Japan, and the US and the Soviets came in, and that's part of the reason why you see two Koreas today, right? However, there were still those who formed a government in exile at that time in Shanghai that said, we will not give in to any of the bigger powers, whether they be our friends or enemies, because we still deserve our freedom as people. Unfortunately, we had two camps who sided with two different nations, and we have two different identities now. And and our brothers up north have gone on the crazy and the tyrannical route, but we still have folks there who are longing for freedom because they realize the system that they've agreed to and that they've agreed to also partner with, namely the Soviet Union and the CCP, was a huge mistake. I share this with you because it is a great point of lesson for the people of East Turkestan. We have far too many instances here in the DC area where we focus on the human rights aspect only, and it just gets stuck in that vicious cycle. It gets a lot of pictures from politicians. It gets a lot of these, it looks great on Facebook, right? It also gets you a lot of fundings as well, right? From those who are saying, oh, wow, this sounds great. This looks beautiful, but let's just end it there. Because the powers that be that we're connected to doesn't really like this flag from being fluttering in the public, unless it's about human rights. Talk about East Turkestan, yes, but only in the context of human rights and maybe ethnic justice. But one thing that's missing is the word nationalism. Is it a crime to be a nationalist within the East Turkestan frame? No. Is it a crime to be a nationalist in any nation's form? No, it's not. Matter of fact, East Turkestan can be a testament to the world, and a testament that really hasn't existed before, in the sense that, and again, we also make the mistake of looking at East Turkestan as just another Muslim country, when in reality, you look at the history of East Turkestan, Silk Road couldn't have existed without East Turkestan. There couldn't have been that much of culture sprouting from all of Central Asia without East Turkestan. I see our the Kazakhstan flag in there. I saw a movie the other day regarding the Kazakhstan's fight for freedom against its Dzungars, right? And as being a Korean, I'm a little more related to the Dzungars than probably Turkestan. But in that movie, you have these warriors from Turkestan saying, "We're from Turkestan and we're here to stand with you, Kazakh brothers," right? It has had an impact in history, and unfortunately, our friend from the Indian or Hindu community couldn't join us today, but I know for a fact that he will tell you, he was actually going to talk about the impact of Hinduism also, the presence of Hinduism and Buddhism within East Turkestan, and why it's not just a Muslim issue. In fact, it is a world issue. It is an interreligious issue, no matter what you identify as today. And so, to conclude, and again, my apologies for sounding a bit too critical of the movement, but I think at this point it is very much needed. We must first, and if I can propose anything, and I say we because I don't wear a dopa anymore, but because short story, when I wore a dopa, at a Uyghur party a few years ago, some lady came up to me and said, "You look like one of the officials that came to visit my town. Please take that off." And I said, "Okay." I'm Korean, but okay. Just so, and I also, there was a time where I was kicked out of 2 Uyghur rallies because someone thought dressed like me and me taking a photo was saying, "Oh, he's from the embassy." I said, "Which embassy?" Right? But here's the thing, despite all of that, I consider myself as part of the Uyghur community because, again, it is because of all of you that we were able to see a different side of what a Muslim majority world looks like. I also saw a great hidden culture that has been severely under attack by a communist system, a Turkestan system, as I call it, right? And because of all of you, I also found out that no matter what happened, no matter how much darkness there is in the world, a light can also, at least a small bit of light can always survive. That is the message that you have given to the world. And that's really the gift that you all have given to the world. And when East Turkestan is right, I implore all of you, I beseech all of you to really just talk about that to all other oppressed areas around the globe. That if we can do it under a second Holocaust of our century, you can also regain your freedom too. And so I'd like to propose a very simple solution. That, number one, please look to the upcoming days as a new dawn of progress. That's one. Number two, and as a Christian, I would like to share a verse, and please look it up when you can. It's a little bit of homework for all of you. Is that there is one verse within the Bible that's used more than 300 times throughout the whole book, which is actually a phrase called "Do not fear." Set all your fears out. I know we have a lot of drama, a lot of interest, parties that are interested in telling all of you what to do, because they have, in a sense, become the dominant power. And I won't mention who they are, but I feel like you know who they are, right? But to tell them, look, we have a voice too, and we're going to let it out. And we invite you to come join with us in that regard, because at the end of the day, we're all brothers and sisters. And that's the thing. Remember that no matter what persecution you may face from your own communities, at the end, they are our brothers and sisters. And no matter what different routes that they may take for the cause, remember, when East Turkestan, not if, when East Turkestan becomes free, you must find a way to live together. And that's the other lesson that I would love to share with you today in terms of what happened with our two Koreas. There's a reason why there's two Koreas, because we simply couldn't agree with one thing. I'm sure there were other powers that be, but don't make the mistake that we did. Lastly, when you look at the flag East Turkestan, remember, it is who you are. Which means that no country or no entity has the right to tell you what to do. No matter how Muslim they are, no matter how Central Asianly they're connected to you, they are, right? You are the people of East Turkestan. And that's all that matters. So with that, I look forward to making our next victory speech in East Turkestan free. I always joke with Sally that if any of you visited Korea, one thing you'll see are two things. Convenience stores and coffee shops, right? Maybe in the free East Turkestan, there'll be a Koreatown where we'll be able to build convenience stores and coffee shops all over. And I'd like to invite all of you to come and participate. But with that, I'd like to thank all of you and wish all of you a great success. And we will march on together. Thank you.
Thank you. We're now going to invite another speaker, and then we're going to take a quick 10-minute break. We'd like to invite Mr. Ben Lawson, a U.S. strategist and sinologist, very involved in our cause.
Thank you, Foreign Minister Huliar. Thank you for having me here today. I only have a few things to say, things I've been thinking about over the past year, and with the incoming Trump administration, I hope there's a few things that we need to learn, remember, and act on. So with that, this is my humble offering of advice to our nation, the United States, the nation of many of you, and in fact to the free nations of the world. These are 7 things that everyone should know about East Turkestan. Number 1, East Turkestan has always been a nation, but never Chinese. For a long time, the Turkic peoples occupied Central Asia. It's been their homeland, and it took me a very long time to realize this. But once I did, I found it was very important. They're not Chinese. Their language, their culture, their religion, they're not Chinese. They just aren't. And that's very important for us to know. Number 2, China doesn't want you to know that East Turkestan ever existed. They send their spies, they commit crimes in our countries, in the free countries of the world, in order to prevent people from telling the truth about East Turkestan. Why did they do that? Number 3, China is committing genocide against East Turkestan. Doesn't necessarily mean they want to see every East Turkestani dead, although for sure they want to see many dead. Anybody who carries on the culture or the knowledge of the nation. The rest, they're satisfied to confine them to a surveillance state, what I, as a Jewish person, would call a ghetto, or to work for free, essentially, to have their lives toiling away, live their lives toiling in a factory, essentially as a slave, as forced labor. Number 4, a restored East Turkestan would be vital to America's defense. Number 1, it would represent the breakup of the Chinese Communist Empire, a real dent in China's power, and a very positive reordering of international relations as countries were able to live free outside of, like East Turkestan, outside the shadow of China's influence and dominance. But number 5, it will not be easy to liberate and restore East Turkestan. China's still very powerful. They have a huge army, and they have a lot of experience suppressing East Turkestan, both with their military and from within. Very important for us to recognize that, but we should not give up hope by any measure, because the people of East Turkestan are a people. They are people currently confined into concentration camps and slavery, and having their children torn from them, having their culture destroyed, and having many people die. And my belief is that this will breed, and has bred, the resistance and the will to fight China that many generations will not change. I believe the fighting spirit is there, the fighting will is there, but East Turkestan needs a chance. Number 6, to give them that chance, we need to dispel our own ignorance and prepare. The era of US engagement with China is over. We've given China so much, we've made every attempt to make China a valid partner in the world. Instead, they've become a terrible dictatorship. They've become a totalitarian dictatorship in every sense. They are right now making war on the United States all across the world. Xi Jinping is supporting Vladimir Putin's war of aggression against Ukraine. Xi Jinping is supporting Iranian wars of aggression throughout the Middle East. Free peoples everywhere are fighting these armies of, frankly, evil, who are seeking to enslave other peoples. East Turkestan should be one of those armies fighting these evil forces. Which brings me to my last point, number 7. People fighting for freedom are fighting for America. Whether they're Ukraine, whether they're fighting Iran, our interests and our morals align, because a restored East Turkestan would form a bulwark, a strategic bulwark, in combination with the other powers of Central Asia, including Mongolia, including a restored Tibet, to be the greatest strategic bulwark that we could imagine. And that's why it is in our interest, and that's why we should support the free peoples of the world. And this is the support that we must give to East Turkestan as well, as we look to the day when East Turkestan is restored and its people are free. Thank you.
Thank you. We are short on time, but if we could, I know everyone wants to take a break, so if we could take a 10-minute break right now. If we can come back at 11:25, 11-minute break, and we'll continue from there. Thank you. Arkadaşlar, 11 minut vaktimiz var. 11:25'te bir saat kayıt gelseler. Çay içtiğinde çay kahve dağıtılmaz.
Oh, man, I already said it. I already said it to Trump's team, I said to Jason Miller,
Ağzına bir şey koyuyorsunuz mu?
No, it's fine, it's fine.
Yani bunu koysak Müslümansız falan ya sıkıntısı yoktur böyle. Yok okuma maçında ekmek.
All right, thank you. Oh, congratulations.
Abi yok mu? Abi yok mu?
Brother, I have to go to Nashville today, so I won't be able to go to the Capitol.
No problem. That's not a problem. Jason Roberto, man. Yeah, Jason told him.
Oh, I'll be here until this. Oh, it's like great presentation. Oh, okay.
Yol tosma, yol tosma.
What is the log marks?
Title, I didn't see the title. It's, title that they picked is
My big fear is Russia.
anyway, I really just said it. I'm so worried.
Kaç zaman dersin? Aldık koydum ben. Farkında makineye. Sadece eli ve sandı. Eli almış. Bana. Biz maske çıksın. Şimdi zadırsı var kimisi var. Mandırsı da yok. Bunlar şimdi okşaş. Çizim olsun. Buradaki kısımdaki. Hiçbir toplamı başlayalım toplayalım.
Kahveyle kadar kimine alaklaşamayız.
Köprü yaptı bana.
It's so ambitious.
Şöyle
All right, well, I'm gonna send that out. Thank you so much.
Avazını tekstillemede bırakın.
Mouse'u kim var?
Emmeden avazı patladı. Bu Manda. Onun kutu kullanmak. Yok yok biraz yok. Manda çarşı olsa, manda çarşı manda güçlü demek. Manda güçlü demek. Çok USB mi? USB manda. Kanı salsın ya. Ma öyle canlı. öyle canlı nimsi ke matal pun ma. Men maşin bizim mana geçirgen açray bizni. Çok uzun var. Uzun var.
Hello, everyone. If we could please get seated so we can continue. Everyone, if we could please get seated. Also, I need to make a quick announcement. For those who park their car out front, if you could please either put it into the parking garage or park in the back of the building where there's paid parking for a little cheaper. If not, there's a risk that your car might be towed. If we could all get seated, please. Back of the building. Yeah, all the way around.
Ya Mushu.
Yeah, you go in front of the garage where that street light is, and then you turn right, and then go around. I'll explain again. If everybody could get seated, please. Andanla jangan dokter untuk tasanlar bakar. Okay, I'm just gonna make the announcement again. For those, if I could have everyone's attention, please. Okay, I just need to make a quick announcement. For those who drove here, if you parked out in front of the hotel, because y'all don't have a parking permit, y'all need to move your car either into the garage, which is a little bit expensive, or you can drive around the building, across the street to the other side of the, behind the building, where you can have street parking, which is a lot cheaper. So if you could please, those who drove here, you can move your vehicle so they don't get towed. Thank you. All right, now we're going to continue. We're a little bit over schedule of our time. I'd like to invite Mr. Ethan Gutman, who is the author of the book, The Slaughter, Mass Killings, Organ Harvesting, and China's Secret Solution to its Dissident Problems, to give a speech. Thank you.
The exit rows. Listen, it's really an honor to be with you all today. Thank you for the second year in a row for inviting me to speak in support of the independence of East Turkestan. When I was investigating the forced deportation of Uyghurs from Tajikistan, I was posing as a tourist, and I visited the presidential palace in Dushanbe. It's a soaring piece of Central Asian architecture. It's so much money and litter has been put into it. It's amazing. Off to the side of the main conference table, which seats over 50, there is a crowded little room with low headspace. In it stands a single table, nothing else, just this table. And it's just enough for a small family. And the room smells of disinfectant. That's because it was here 10 years ago, on June 2014, that the deal was done. The Chinese Communist Party, with Russia by its side, laid out its plan to the Central Asian members of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, what was then still called, really informally, the Shanghai Six: Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Kyrgyzstan. And the subject was the permanent resolution of the Uyghur question. That table has never been used again. From my observation, it's never used at all. No disinfectant is strong enough to scrub away the blood. Only action by the Central Asian nations can do that. And I'll come back to that point. Let's look at the current problem for this group. In the West, the Uyghur cause of the last several years has been eclipsed. Afghanistan, Ukraine, then Gaza, these issues have taken up all the oxygen in the room. The West's compassion reserves are depleted. Even the rescue of Uyghurs is treated as a distraction, I say this with personal knowledge, by the Department of Homeland Security. This is particularly true for human rights organizations and the media. Funding for investigative work, again, from my own personal experience, is particularly field work is lagging. The only bright spot appears to be Uyghur forced labor. The initial effort in the Uyghur forced labor effort by the West was to explore Western supply chains. This was initially meant to administer financial pain to Beijing, yet it increasingly feels, to me anyway, divorced from the actual consequences to the Uyghur people. Now, Uyghur forced labor has become an abstraction. It's become a DC cottage industry. It's a State Department game of edicts and papal dispensations to Western corporations. Diplomatically, it's also a relatively safe space. Am I saying that the State Department, the US State Department, is wicked or corrupt? No, I'm not saying that. But I am saying that they, actually none of us, are good at tracking moving targets. And the Chinese Communist Party will always find a way to adapt, to alter the production process, to add a new layer of complexity. Am I saying that the State Department is weak? Yes. The punishments are vague. For the current administration, preserving the status quo everywhere is everything. Under Biden, the future for Uyghurs appeared to be an endless loop of oppression and slave labor, and if the Uyghurs were lucky enough to survive. But we've just had an election. I'm not going to comment on that election. I don't know how you voted. It doesn't matter to me on that, but briefly, how does that affect the Uyghur cause? If you're a Jew, you say, is this good for the Jews? Here, you have to say, is this good for the Uyghurs and the Kazakhs? Republican victory may close some doors, particularly in the area of pure human rights attention, but it may still open some others. First, at least temporary resolution to Russia, Ukraine, and Iran, Israel. Those negotiations are already in process, even today. It will take time, but with resolution, some focus will inevitably shift back to East Turkestan. Second, expect further US decoupling from China. Western business interests will continue to relocate. The China solar panel lobby in DC will weaken. Even the self-censorship of the larger Uyghur community, the public denial of Uyghur separatism, that is going to fade too. This podium will no longer have pariah status. Third, President-elect Trump is not overly fond of alliances. Now, you may have your own views on that, but perhaps in that lies an opportunity, for President Trump does not respect enemy alliances either, such as the Shanghai Cooperation Organization or the Shanghai Six. The timing is good. China is weak financially. Russia is distracted with Ukraine, distracted from Central Asia. And while China cannot afford the Belt and Road Initiative anymore, it can afford to pluck the low-lying fruit, that is the Pamirs and the Kyrgyz Mountains. These are the South China Sea of the West for China. And the point is that in 2014, the Central Asian nations did not protest the Uyghur death warrant. But in doing so, they signed their own death warrant, merely on a different time frame. In fact, Uyghur self-determination is the self-determination for Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, and literally all of Central Asia. No more young men who shoot up the Russian imperial wars, no more oil and yellow cake going directly to China. And I want to congratulate this group for your applause and singularly recognizing this point. The last element is genocide. And I'm reluctant to use that term because I don't want to get into parsing the legal definition of genocide here. So instead, let me just put it this way, informally. You know, nations don't come back to life. They don't fight for their reemergence as nations for decadent reasons. They come back to make sure their people survive at all. For Ireland, this was the potato famine. For Israel, it was the gas chambers. For the Ukraine, it was the mass starvation under Stalin. I am going to speak tomorrow on the granular detail of the organ harvesting selection in the camps. Uyghurs and Kazakhs, mainly, and some of it. I have never done that before. In other words, Salih already mentioned the results of my investigation to you earlier today. 25,000 to 50,000 per year. I'd add average age 28 or 29 years old. Let me add one more number. When my book comes out in early 2025, the death toll of organ harvesting, never mind forced deportation, tuberculosis, health problems from the camps, and outright murder, will have reached 175,000 people at a minimum. The Uyghurs and Kazakhs alone are the source for all of China's organ harvesting needs every year. Uyghurs have avoided emphasizing that in the past. Perhaps they saw it as a fallen going issue or an unproved issue. No longer. You don't have to do that anymore. Let's talk about the big boys here. The US Congress has a full organ harvesting bill. I'm not even going to give you the name, but which I'm optimistic will pass in 2025 in some form. But the most important group is the surgeons in the West. And that means the International Society for Heart and Lung Transplants, okay? They don't do kidneys, they don't do livers. They do top of the line heart and lung. And they have sustained for over 16 months a full and comprehensive academic boycott of the Chinese transplant industry. That's unparalleled. But for this, for you to get your backs into this, you personally need proof. Because it is your activism and your unyielding commitment, and there's no other audience I'd rather give these details to that can begin to clean the blood from that table. Thank you very much.
And now we will have a speech from the Deputy Speaker of Parliament of the East Turkestan government, East Turkestan Parliament in exile, Mr. Abduveli Adam, if you can make it bigger. Sözlüsünüz bulu. Kaynar Hamid. Just talk to him, tell him he's good to. He can hear. You're good to go. We see that. We will Kanı merhamet başlasınız burada.
Selamünaleyküm. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bizni Sharqiy Turkistonlik musulmonlardan qilib yaratgan hammaga qodir gapni o'ziga kelsak, Sharqiy Turkistonning mustaqillik uchun olib borilgan kurash faqatla siyosiy masala emas, balki u har bir Sharqiy Turkistonlikningki boshtas bo'lmaydigan burchi degan temini so'zlayman. Chunki u bizningki har bir Sharqiy Turkistonlikningki insoniy, diniy, siyosiy, madaniy va axloqiy majburiyati shundoqla burchidir. Sharqiy Turkistonda Xitoy tajovuzchilari tarafidan har xil usullar bilan qirg'itilgan, dafsanni qilingan, turmlarga solingan, ish organlari sug'urilgan, bosqinchilikqa uchragan, mol mulki tortilgan, bolalari manqurtlashtirilgan, erlari o'ldirilgan, ayollari och sanillari qizlari dafsanni qilingan, qulun qo'shnilari ziyonkashlikka uchragan, o'limalari, olimlari, ziyolilari, boylari, san'atkorlari, yazgıcıları, önermeleri, imamları, okutçuları, okuvçuları, sabahtakileri ziyankeşlikке, irqi qirg'inchilik uchragan, yer asti qazilma boyliqlari talon-taroj qilingan, muhiti bulg'otilgan, yer zaminlari egalangan har bir Sharqiy Turkistonlikning huquqidirki, Sharqiy Turkistonni qaytadan ozod qilish, Xitoy tajovuzlarini Sharqiy Turkistondan qo'llab chiqarish, yolg'iz Sharqiy Turkiston Jumhuriyati sudgan hukumatining emas, balki barliq xalqlarningki baştasida qat'iy bo'lmaydigan burchidir. Uzundan buyon Sharqiy Turkistonni o'z vatani deb atagan Uyg'urlar, Qozoqlar, Qirg'izlar va boshqa turkiy millatlar tajovuzchi Xitoy hukmronligi ostida ziyonkashlik, zulm va irqiy qirg'inchilik duch keldi va hali ham duch kelmoqda. Bu nachar vaziyat har bir Sharqiy Turkistonlikdan barlig'ini qurbonlik qilib bo'lsa, ixtiloflarni qayirib qo'yib, kollektiv amaliy harakatga o'tib, mustaqillik ko'pishida tavaranmas va'dasida chong turishni avval yaratuvchi Allohga, ondan shu besilingan zimindagi mazlum xalqqa yuz kelarligidek amaliy kurash qilishni chaqirdi va ta'xirsiz talab qildi. Sharqiy Turkistonlik musulmonlar uchun emas, balki dunyodagi har qanday bir musulmon uchun aytganda erkinlik kurashi siyosiy qarshilik bo'lib qolmasdan balki diniy majburiyatdir, ibodatdir. İslam dinimiz zulmga qarshi turishning sadoqatini musulmonlar uchun majburiyat ekanligini o'rgatdi. Hammani hikmat bilan yaratuvchi Alloh va uning rasuli musulmonlarni mazlumlarni qo'llashga, diniy qilmishga, ega chiqishga, vataniga tajovuz qilib kelganlarga qarshi turishga o'z vatanini, jinini, obro'yini, melini qo'llab jihad qilishga buyurdi. Sharqiy Turkistonning mustaqillik uchun olib berilgan kurash insonlarning e'tiqod qilish huquqini qo'llash, madrasa, masjid va diniy organlarni saqlab qolish va islom madaniyatining Sharqiy Turkistondan ko'chirilishining oldini olish jihodidir. Tajovuzchi Xitoy ishg'oliyati ostidagi vatanimiz Sharqiy Turkiston har birimiz uchun cho'nqur tarixiy, siyosiy, madaniy va iqtisodiy shunaqla ijtimoiy ahamiyatga ega. Bu ilgari Türk xalqlarining madaniyat va diniy markazida gullangan. Xitoyning assimilyatsiyasi va irqiy qirg'inchilik siyosati ostida buni yo'qotishi necha ming yillik tarixdagi merosimizni tortib olish va yo'q qilishdir. Tajovuzchi Xitoyning siyosiy majburiy assimilyatsiya qilish, keng ko'lamli turmuş solash va til, milliy urf-odat, din, shundoqla an'ana bosqirish orqali Sharqiy Turkistonliklarning kimligini yo'qotish, oxirida Sharqiy Turkistonni taltix bilan qilib, egilib olishni maqsad qildi. Har bir Sharqiy Turkistonlik o'z vatani Sharqiy Turkistonni ajdodlarining tili, tarixi va madaniyati, shundoqla o'z odatini qo'llashni o'zining bir kishilik insoniy mas'uliyati deb qarash kerak. Xitoyning Sharqiy Turkistonning g'oyat zo'r tabiiy boyliqlari, neft, tabiiy gaz, qizilma boyliq, qadimiy yodgorlik qatorliqlarni qizishi faqat Xitoy hukumdorligiga foydali bo'lib, barliq Sharqiy Turkistonliklarni qilchi bay qilmoqda yo'q, aksicha namoratlashtirdi va texnik ig'ir iskanjaga qo'ydi. Sharqiy Turkistonning iqtisodiy, tabiiy boyliqlari, zemini tutqundagi xalq ozod qilinsa, o'z xalqiga naf yetkazish, ularni nomusdan qutuldirish va kelgusi avlodlarga g'oyat zo'r fursat bilan ta'minlash bilan qolmay, dunyo tinchligi va iqtisod uchunmi g'oyat zo'r turtki qo'sha oladi. Sharqiy Turkistonning iqtisodiy aslida biz Sharqiy Turkistonliklarning qo'liga topshirilishi kerak edi. Ming afsuski, tajovuzchi Xitoylar hammani egilib olganlikdan vatan ishsizligi barliq Sharqiy Turkistonliklarning navratligi, musofirligi va irqiy qirg'inchilikning dardini yetkish tortishi texicha davomlashmoqda. Shuni hamma his qilib tursimi, buningga haqiqiy hal qilish chorasi topib, amaliy tadbir qo'llanishga ko'p sonliqlar amalsiz qilmoqda. Shu vajidan bo'lsa-mu, barliq Sharqiy Turkistonliklar Sharqiy Turkiston surgun hukumati atrofida uyushib, millatni va vatanni ozod qilish uchun o'rtaq tirishchilik ko'rsatmaydigan bu mustaqillik kurishi olg'a bosmaydi. Güzel kelgusiga bo'lgan intilishlarimiz, nishonlarimiz hargizmi amalga oshmaydi. Ya'ni nimani kutsizlar? Surgundagi Sharqiy Turkiston hukumati millatning umidchiligi. Ammo u o'zi vakillik qilgan Sharqiy Turkiston xalqining aktiv qo'llashidan aylanmaydi. Sharqiy Turkiston Cumhuriyeti surgun hukumati xalqaroning e'tirof qilishi, xalqaro sahnalarda kishilik huquqni qo'g'dash, mustaqillikni asliga keltirish va Xitoyning ta'til tashviqotiga qarshi turish uchun lobbining siyosiy, iqtisodiy qo'llashi, shundoqla parlament a'zolari, fidoilar va keng xalq ommasining qo'llashiga muhtoj. Muajiratdagi har bir Sharqiy Turkistonlikning Sharqiy Turkiston Cumhuriyeti surgun hukumatini qo'llash majburiyati bor. Chunki u Sharqiy Turkistonliklarning erkinligi va izzat turmush uchun kurash qiladi. Parvosizlik, beshini ishga qo'yish yoki ko'zga ilmaslik, hatto e'tiborsizlashtirish hech to'g'ri bo'lmaydi. Irqiy qirg'inchilik oldida sukut qilish xoinlikdir. Ey Sharqiy Turkistonlik qarindoshlarim, ey qarindoshlarim, sizlar vatandagi shu mazlum xalqqa, sizlarga hozirgi barliqlarni rizq qilib bergan yaratish Allohga qanday yuzgaraysizlar? Sharqiy Turkistonning navbatdagi vaziyati qiyinchilikda faqat Uyg'urlarningla yoki shu zamindagi xalqningla shaxsiy masalasi emas, balki u xalqaro adolat, kishilik huquq, insonlik va e'tiqod, iymon kirzisidir. Barliq turk davlatlari, musulmonlar, yahudiylar, xristianlar, demokratchilar, adolatparvarlar va kishilik huquq tashkilot jamiyatlari cho'qim Sharqiy Turkistonning mustaqilligi, Sharqiy Turkiston xalqining kishilik huquq, haq-huquqlari uchun bir arada yig'ilib, Xitoyga qarshi o'rtaq ovoz chiqarishi va amaliy harakat qilish kerak. Xalqaro jamiyat shuni e'tirof qilish kerakki, Sharqiy Turkistondagi zulm va irqiy qirg'inchilik jinoyatlari insoniyat tarixidagi eng nachar, inson qalbidan chiqqan, chekidan oshgan vahshiylikdir. Yaratuvchi zotning barliqqa ishonadigan e'tiqodchi inson bo'lish sutimiz bilan xuddi biz ilgari va dunyoning boshqa nurg'un joylarida bu xil jinoyatlarga qarshi turganga o'xshash Sharqiy Turkistonda tajovuzchi Xitoyninki texnik davomlashtirayotgan irqiy qirg'inchilik qilmishlariga, jinoyatlariga birlikda qarshi turishimiz kerak. Bo'lmasa, yaratuvchining oldiga borganda qanday javob beramiz? İnsanlığımızı yo'qotgan, hammani shu tajovuzchi Xitoylarga topshirib qo'ygan bo'lmadik. Gapimni yig'sam, bizning ko'rishimiz hargizmi bekor ketmaydi. Millatim, vatanim deb turib, millatimizning o'qlari ostida o'lishga har vaqt tayyormizki, vatanimizni mustaqil qilmay turib, bel qo'yitish yoki umidsizlikdan, behud ixtilofdan tirik holda o'lib ketishimiz biz Sharqiy Turkistonliklarga hech yarashmaydi. Bu mayli diniy jihatdan bo'lsin, mayli siyosiy jihatdan bo'lsin, mayli insonlikdan bo'lsin, qat'iy cheklanadi. Biz mol tarix ve tevreniz ruhunun kovulguçuları ikenlikimizi unutmayla. Bu güreş biz sükut kılışık kurgumuz yetmeyen güreş. Bu güreş ecdatlarımızın bizge miras kalgan güreş. Bu güreş vatanımızın her bir sıkıntı kurup
Connection went out. Okay, we're gonna move on because of time. Vaqtnasiz tüpelin biz davranışımız, kardeşimizdeki oraya yaşayan sosyalde. And now we're going to move on to the next section, key announcements in the war section. First, I'd like to invite ETG President Dr. Mehmet bin Allah to launch the East Turkestan White Paper book and the East Turkestan Policy Institute.
Distinguished guests, fellow advocates, friends, and supporters of East Turkestan, thank you for being here. It's both an honor and a privilege to stand before you at this momentous gathering as we embark on a pivotal chapter in our shared struggle for justice, sovereignty, and the restoration of East Turkestan independence. Today is not just another day in our fight. It's a historic milestone, one that will restore far beyond the walls of this conference room. As many of you know, East Turkestan has faced an overwhelming, systematic effort to erase identity, history, and culture from the global stage. For over 75 years, China's occupation of our land has accompanied by a relentless campaign of assimilation, disinformation, and genocide. And yet, despite this constant onslaught, the world remains largely ignorant of the truth. And this ignorance is not merely a product of indifference, it's a failure of awareness, a failure to act, because the truth about East Turkestan remains obscure. Today, we are changing that. We are taking a decisive step forward in our case by unveiling a work that will finally fill the void of knowledge about East Turkestan and its rightful struggle for independence. I am proud to announce the publication of the 376-page white paper called East Turkestan Was Never a Part of China and Restoring Its Independence is the Only Way Forward. This book is a culmination of years of meticulous research and collaboration and the tireless work of our government in exile and the newly launched East Turkestan Policy Institute. I will come back to the East Turkestan Institute later, but first of all, I have to say there's a mistake. The mistake is that this book is solely researched, compiled, and written by our hero, Saleh Hudaya, on behalf of the East Turkestan government in exile. I would like all of you to join me applauding him for this great work. Put this all formalities aside, I would like to talk to you in my language now. Actually, this is a monumental work because I reviewed this book quite shortly, but I was amazed at the depth of historical knowledge that this book contains. The historical knowledge that China has meticulously altered and distorted history. And this is the first time that we have restored the dignity and the truth of history to our cause. And this work is testament to this very truthful work that our people, not only our people of East Turkestan, but also the people all around the world to know that this is our glorious history that this book tells us. As you know that, our history has been weaponized by China against us. And Chinese people are mastered at distorting history throughout history. And this time, we didn't allow China to tell our history. It's time for us to tell our history, who we are, why we are fighting for this very glorious and very sacred fight for the sake of our people to restore our independence to our land, our homeland. And I would like all of you, you will get this book, copy of this book. From now onwards, this book will become a very official, very trustworthy, and very reliable source for any kind of historical knowledge, information about our nation. And not only that, this book also gives you a great pride in being part of East Turkestan. It nurtures your love for your nation, and it also gives you the intellectual, moral, and political guidance in this darkness, as we discussed today. It gives you as a small sparkling, small light in this darkness, and the why we are fighting for. And at the end of my speech, I would like to thank Sani Hodaya again for the completion of this great work that you can read and you can comment and you can use it for your future reference. Thank you so much.
On that note, everyone has flaws, so there are some small, minor flaws, some few grammatical errors in there, but nothing of political flaws. I made that much assured. So if I would love to, we'd love to get everyone's feedback. If after reading this, if you could point out any additional flaws or any issues, so we can better improve it for the next edition. Thank you. And that, because of time, I would like to call on the the Prime Minister of the East Turkestan Government in Exile, Mr. Abdul Ahad Noor, to launch the East Turkestan National Identity Card.
Distinguished guests, fellow East Turkestanis, and esteemed friends of justice and freedom. Today is a historic day for all of us. It's a day that marks a new chapter in our relentless struggle for the restoration of East Turkestan's independence. I stand before you with great pride as we unveil the East Turkestan National Identity Card, NIC, a symbol of our unity, our identity, and our sovereign nationhood. This is not a just card, it's a declaration to the world that East Turkestan will never be erased. It's a reaffirmation that we as a people are committed to the full restoration of our independence, which was taken from us unjustly. Before I go further, I want to draw your attention to the sample card on the screen. You are looking at the National Identity Card of Prime Minister Sabit Damallah Abdul Baqi, the founding father of the East Turkestan Republic. His leadership, vision, and ultimate success in reestablishing our nation's sovereignty are woven into this very card. This legacy is one of the courage, determination, and steadfast commitment to our independence. And it is his memory and sacrifice that guide our fight today. The East Turkestan NIC is not merely an identification document. It's a vital instrument in our mission to restore the independence of East Turkestan. It serves as proof of citizenship, recognizing each of you as an East Turkestani, part of a proud and resilient nation. It is a card that affirms your rightful place in the world as a citizen of a sovereign East Turkestan, not as a subject of occupation. This card is a bridge between our past struggles and our future triumphs. What is the importance of the East Turkestan National Identity Card? The National Identity Card is a powerful tool to empowerment. It's a critical symbol of our identity, a declaration that we are an independent nation. The National Identity Card affirms our East Turkestan citizenship and national identity, and it connects us to our proud history, culture, and heritage. This card is an official recognition of our people who have endured oppression, genocide, and persecution, but remain resolute in our quest for the restoration of our independence. The National Identity Card is also an important tool of political engagement and democracy. It grants you the ability to participate in East Turkestan's democratic processes, including elections, referendums, and other governance activities organized by East Turkestan government in exile. The National Identity Card allows you to have a voice in shaping the future of East Turkestan, giving you a role in determining the political future of our nation. This is your right as citizens of a nation that will be restored. Thank you very much.
Now we have, for those who had applied in advance, we are officially launching the National Identity Card. Anyone can apply online on the East Turkestan government's website. You can either apply in the English language form or the Uyghur language form. Right now, for those who applied in advance, we will be passing out their identity card. We'll call them up here, and then the Prime Minister will hand it over to him. First, Mr. Qurbanjan Nisamuddin. Vaktimiz sal takışıvatıdı.
Mübarek olsun.
And now we call Mr. Jasur Jurat to come up, pick up his ID, or his family members that are here. Dr. Jurat Ubul, he can pick up his family's ID cards here. We call on our president, Dr. Abdul to pick up his national identity card. call on our Vice President, Dr. Saygul Sawatbai, to pick up her national identity card. We call on our former President, Mr. Ghulam Yagma, to pick up his national identity card. We call on Mr. Eli John to pick up his and his family's national identity card. We call on Mr. Mehmet Veli Turdi to pick up his and his family members' cards. We call on Mr. Rahim Jamaluddin to pick up his national identity card. We call on Mr. Abdul Tilek to pick up his national identity card. We call on Mr. Adil Abdulhamid to pick up his national identity card. And we call on Mr. Muhammad Qadir to pick up his national identity card. And lastly, but not least, we call on Mr. Mevlan Ekram to pick up his national identity card. And a brief note, this national identity card is open for all people of East Turkestani origin, regardless of whether they are Uyghur, Kazakh, Kyrgyz, or any other Turkish ethnic groups. And those who are descended from East Turkestani, those who descended from East Turkestan, and of course our global diaspora. So we invite everyone to apply online. Again, this is going to be rolling out. This is a way of getting involved with the government to, in the future elections, we want to hold direct elections where the people directly elect the government leadership rather than simply the members of parliament in exile. So we hope that we can get that situated in the coming election in 2027. And now we are moving on to the final section of today's morning or opening session program, and that's the award ceremony. And so I'd like to call on President Ala
So the next agenda item is the Order of Friendship ceremony. The Order of Friendship is one of the highest honors awarded by the East Turkestan government in exile to individuals, organizations, and governments that have demonstrated extraordinary commitment to supporting the East Turkestan people's struggle for independence, political and human rights, and justice. The prestigious award recognizes those who have consistently advocated for East Turkestan cause on the global stage, whether through diplomatic channels, humanitarian efforts, and political support. So the order of friendship symbolizes a deep gratitude of East Turkistani people for the international solidarity and assistance shown in their fight to restore their independence, cultural identity, and dignity. It's a testament to the strong partnerships that continue to grow in the quest for a free and sovereign East Turkestan, honoring those who have played a significant role in helping to express the truth and support the East Turkestan cause. The first recipient of the Order of Friendship will go to Sehon Kim. And our friend from,
Korea.
second one is, we'll come back to this. Second one is our long-term friend who had dedicated to our cause, Mr. Ethan Gutman. The Order of Friendship also awarded to Ethan Gutman, an investigative journalist who has exposed one of the most horrific aspects of China's genocide against East Turkestan people, its organ harvesting operations. The Ethan's pioneering work in uncovering these atrocities has provided a vital evidence for international legal efforts, including our International Criminal Court case. His dedication to truth and justice has led him to travel extensively across Central Asia to collect irrefutable evidence of China's horrific crimes. Ethan's relentless advocacy for East Turkestan's independence and his pivotal role in helping the world understand the scale of China's ongoing genocide have made him an invaluable ally in our quest for justice. His steadfast support for East Turkestani people makes him a deserving recipient of the Order of Friendship, recognizing his critical contributions to our cause for independence. Thank you so much for Mr. Gutman. And Uyghur people values friendship mostly like all other peoples on earth. And thank you so much. And your dedication will never be forgotten us. And you will be one of the first guests when we are independent. Now I will continue with Sehun Kim. Sorry. The Order of Friendship is awarded to Sehun Kim, a Korean-American journalist and a passionate advocate for the East Turkestani people. Through his diligent journalism and tireless efforts with the Captive Nations Coalition, Sehun has been a critical ally in raising global awareness of the ongoing atrocities in East Turkestan and the East Turkestan's struggle to restore its independence. His commitment to the restoration of East Turkestan's independence and shedding light on the suffering of the Uyghurs, Kazakhs, Kyrgyz, and other Turkic peoples under China's oppression has been instrumental in mobilizing international attention and support for their cause. As a dedicated voice for East Turkestani rights, Sehun has worked relentlessly to ensure that East Turkestani people's fight for independence is heard. His unwavering support for our struggle and his consistent efforts to amplify the East Turkestani cause make him a truly deserving recipient of the Order of Friendship. Thank you so much. And this is the dostluk, which means in English is friendship. Thank you for being our friend. And we will discuss about these opportunities when East Turkestan is independent. And you are also yes, when you are free. Thank you for your time. Now, next section is the Order of Loyalty. The East Turkestan Republic's Order of Loyalty is one of the highest honors awarded by the East Turkestan government in exile, reserved exclusively for its East Turkestani citizens who have demonstrated exceptional dedication, sacrifice, and loyalty to the cause of East Turkestan sovereignty and independence. First established in 1945 by the East Turkestan Republic, this prestigious award recognized those who have made significant contribution to restoration of East Turkestan's independence, whether through active resistance, leadership, or their unwavering commitment to restore the rights and dignity of the East Turkestani people. The Order of Loyalty honors those who, in the face of immense hardship and persecution, have shown remarkable courage in the fight for East Turkestan's independence, and those actions inspire others to continue the struggle for sovereignty and justice. This award symbolizes the highest level of honor, recognizing individuals who have exemplified extraordinary loyalty to our nation, its people, and its cause for independence. The East Turkestan Republic's Order of Loyalty continues to serve as a testament to the enduring spirit and commitment of the East Turkestani people, who, in the face of occupation and oppression, remain determined to restore their nation's independence and sovereignty. Ben Uygurçuk'la birlikte bu bizdeki İşbirliği Cumhuriyet'ten dağılmış olan bizdeki sadakat vidali, biz okşaş şekilde hem okşaş kriz boyunca Şarkı Türkistanlık, yani Şarkı Türkistan'ın müstakillik için özünü bağışlayan ve Şarkı Türkistan'ın müstakillik ibaret bu mukaddes bir iş için, vatanı kurtuluş için özünü bağışlayan bizim fidakarlarımızga ve bununla sadakatle boğan bizim kahramanlarımızga bunu vermez. The Order of Loyalty will go to Mr. Abdusami Absalam. Bizimki sadakat ilanlarından birisi Abdusami Absalam efendim vardı. Ben bunu İngilizce okuyayım. The East Turkestan Republic's Order of Loyalty is awarded to Mr. Abdusami Absalam, a devoted and loyal veteran of East Turkestan independence struggle. Mr. Abdusami's commitment to our nation's freedom began in his teenage years, when he first took up arms in defense of East Turkestan's sovereignty. In 1980, his involvement in an armed resistance organization was uncovered, forcing him to flee and live as fugitive across East Turkestan for many years. His perseverance in the face of extreme danger did not waver, and in 1997, he was forced to flee his homeland to Central Asia to continue the fight for independence. Even outside East Turkestan, Mr. Abdusami remained deeply involved in advocating for the independence of East Turkestan, tirelessly working to find external support for East Turkestan independence. His unwavering loyalty, courage, and commitment to the cause of East Turkestan's freedom, despite immense personal sacrifice, make him truly deserving recipient of the East Turkestan Republic's Order of Loyalty. His life and work continue to inspire all who fight for the restoration of our independence. Ben kısaca bir Uygur için dilite Abdusami Absalam Efendi Şarkı Türkistan'daki vaxtında, yani 10 neçe yaş vaxtında koluğu koral ile Şarkı Türkistan'ın müstakillik için köreş kıygan bizdeki söyümlük, kahraman ve sadakatmen aksakallarımızdan birisi. Abdusami Efendim başı işin keyin tutulgan ve nurgulgan riyazet çekkendan keyin 1997-yili chet elga kechish majbur bo'lgan. Chet elga chiqqandan keyin u ta hozirgacha Sharq Turkistonning mustaqilligidan iborat mana shu kurashni bir to'xtatib qo'ymadi. Shundaqla Sharq Turkiston sürgün hükümetinin yenide her vaqt bo'lib Bizimki 20 yıldan beri gel mana şu günü kelişimizge kadar hem bizim şu günü kelişimizge gayet sohbet koştu. Başkalar sizlerden sorsa Şarkı Türkistanlıkla Xitayla kanda karşı doğantınlar dese şundak deyiş gerek ki bizim aramızda kural götürüp karşı doğanlar var. Mana bu bizimki tirik şahidimiz ve tirik kahramanımız muşu karşılıkını kural arkalı tuncu kıtırmış. Bizim hayatı da
Rahmet, rahmet. Allah razı olsun. Bütün Şarkı Türkistan'da söyleyen kardeşlerimizin Allah razı olsun.
Şarkı Türkistan halkı ve onunki hükümeti hiç zaman bu devletinki müstakillığını esir keltiriş için özü bekizgan kahramanlarını unutup kalmaydı. İlgili unutup kalmagan, bugün unutup kalmaydı, kelgisi unutup kalmaydı. Hem hemimizdeki Abdüsemi Efendimni ülgü kılıp özümüzge bularının baskan izden besişimizi ümit kıldan. Köp rahmet sizge. Now, the second person, Mr. Hacı Mahmud. Hacı Mahmud. The Uzbekistan Republic's Order of Loyalty is also awarded to Mr. Hacı Mahmud, a courageous and unwavering advocate for Uzbekistan's independence. From a very young age, Mr. Hacı Mahmud was deeply involved in the fight for his homeland's freedom. In 1975, while still in the 10th grade, he was placed under house arrest and routinely questioned by Chinese authorities for his role in founding a pro-independence student resistance organization. His commitment to the cause only deepened despite repression he faced, and in 1977, he was arrested once again for his advocacy. In 1982, he was arrested third time for leading another pro-independence resistance group, resulting in him spending a total of 7 years in jail. Through these years of hardship, Mr. Hacı Mahmud never faltered in his dedication to Uzbekistan's struggle for sovereignty. His unyielding commitment to the independence cause, despite the severe personal sacrifice he made, has marked his life as one of the exceptional loyalty to the nation. For his tireless efforts and profound sacrifice, Mr. Hacı Mahmud is deserving recipient of the Uzbekistan Republic's Order of Loyalty, a symbol of his enduring dedication to the restoration of Uzbekistan's independence. Bizdeki sadakat medalımızın için sadakat medalımızın ikincisi Hacı Mahmud Efendim'e verildi. Hacı Mahmud Efendim bizden aramızdaki İnten Küçük Şehirullah Xitay olan karşılıkını başlayan ve bunun için teşkillik karşılıklı ilip bağlan ve bunun mühimliğini tutup etken ve bunun için abayet dep ötülgende netçe yıl riyazet çekken. Şundan olsumu Hacı Mahmud Efendim hiç zaman özünün akidesinden ve özünün vataniga olan sadakatinden yanmagan. Ta hazırlıkça yanmay kelip atıdı. Hem aramızda mana şunday mezmut durup bizge vatandaki müstakilligidan ibaret mana şu ulug' var bir kurash uchun o'zini beg'ishlashlikka bir ulgusi sifatida turdi ham buni bizga ko'rsatdi. Ham bizniki bu keyingi avlodlarning va bizning keyingi avlodlarninki xuddi shu ikki qadam bizniki qahramonlarimiz va sadoqatmanlarimizniki izidan menib xalqimizniki og'izlariga yetib vatanimizni cho'qim ozod qilishga tirishishimiz kerak. Sizlarga rahmat.
Şarkı Türkistan çok müstakil buludu. Şarkı Türkistan halkının öyle. Ve başkalarının ki bizi yerden verirsen, biz kaçar dik örtür alsak, başkalar bizim kollarda çok müstakil boludu. Zoravan güç, güçlü adaletin güçü ahir bir gün yığdı. Bunun da hem Şarkı Türkistanlık halkımızınki tirişçalık göz gerek, köpçük gerek.
Thank you, everyone, for bearing with us over the past several hours this morning. We actually finished quite on time. I thought we were going to be a little bit late, but looks like we finished quite on time. We're now going to break out for lunch. For those who are able to attend, we're going to have a demonstration in front of the U.S. Capitol to call on the U.S. Congress to pass the Uyghur Policy Act with the inclusion of the Special Coordinator for East Turkestan or Uyghur issues at the U.S. State Department, as well as to reiterate our call on the U.S. government and the U.S. Congress to recognize East Turkestan as an occupied country, among other things. I want to take this moment again to reiterate our congratulations on behalf of the East Turkestan government in exile and the East Turkestani people to the re-election of President Donald Trump. We wish his incoming administration success. We wish the United States prosperity and strength, and we hope that the United States will have the strength, the moral wisdom and courage to support the East Turkestani people in restoring their independence and into building a better world, a more freer world, a world that is more prosperous and more secure for the whole of humanity. Thank you. I'll make the food announcement.